Hi everyone. Thank you for joining this session today, which is specifically for TCSI reporting through Mesh platform. I'm Zai, Compliance and Integration Consultant at Mesh Group, and today I'm going to walk you through with few enhancements that we have done recently specific to these new changes in TCSI reporting for 2022. In this session, first I'm going to walk you through, which will be a quick introduction to new TCSI PR feature, and then we'll check enhancements under course setup that we have done. Then I'll also explain you the date logic that we are being using for the course on campus records, as we have received many queries on this part since last 1 year. Then we'll check enhancements under student setups, and then I'll also introduce you few rules that you should make a note of while you're reporting unit enrollments, as we also see this common practice of mistakes from most of the providers. And then at the end, we will also check the steps to reactivate your Proda B2B device. So let's begin. Okay, so as most of us, we know that from 2022, you're supposed to report your PIR data through new TCSI feature. And deadline for this reporting, they have extended it till August. So you have to make sure that you complete your PIR reporting by this August deadline. And with reporting ways, that is, first is through API feature, and second is TCSI data entry, TCSI manual data entry. So Meshed is already with both these features. So fee help approved provider, they are supposed to use the API feature to report their staff data. So for example, let me show you a platform. When you go to this TCSI tile from your home page, for fee help approved provider, which are HESA funded, they have already been reporting their student and course data through this course and student packet, course admission, unit enrollment. Now they are just pending with their staff data. So for their staff data, they can start reporting through the API feature, which is already there in our platform. And also during this session, if you have any questions, please feel free to drop your question in the chat box, and our team will reach out to you with the answers to that. And we'll also share this PPT as well as recording after the session. Okay. Okay, so let's get back to our session. Now, okay, for fee help approved provider, they can use our API feature. Okay. Now, providers who are non-fee help approved, that is non-HESA funded, they are supposed to use the TCSI report feature, so which is also added in the system. So if you go to the reports, and then there is option TCSI PIR reports. From here, you can actually generate the reports and then extract data in either Excel or CSV format, and then submit it through TCSI data entry portal on TCSI platform. Okay. So that is all about TCSI PIR reporting feature. Now, if you need more details, I have also added this link, which is a YouTube link for the recording that for the session that we conducted 2 weeks before, and you can have a look into it. We also have a user guide for this PR reporting feature. We have also shared it with all providers. But you haven't received it, just feel free to drop a query with our support team, and we'll share that user guide with you. Okay. Now let's see what are the enhancements that we have done under course setup. So course setup, there are mainly two enhancements. First, which is related to feature to map multiple courses with same national code, and second is related to course outcomes. So let's first see what is the feature to map multiple courses with same national code. Now, as most of us, we know that based on TCSI reporting guidelines, we are not allowed to report 2 or more courses with same national code. Okay? But we have seen that most of the time providers, they need to create replicas of same course just to segregate their data. For example, they create separate course for domestic students and separate course for international students. But both these courses are same, so they end up using same national code. But when you try to report these two course records with the same national code, you'll receive an error from TCSI. Now to cover this, we have added this enhancement. Through these enhancements, what you can do is 2 steps. First, mark that course as TCSI reportable, which is the primary course, And the second step, add TCSI mapping. So let's have a look in much detail. So, okay, first step, just decide one course as a primary course and mark that course as TCSI reportable. Okay. Now, for the relevant courses, which are the rest of the courses, make sure they are marked as TCSI reportable no. Okay. In step 2, you have to go to TCSI course mapping from course, and then there is one more option, TCSI course mapping, and then select for the primary course from this drop down. You will get all the relative courses which are using same national code as that primary course. Select them and add mapping. Once this mapping is done, what system will do is, when you are reporting your courses, it will only report course that is TCSI reportable, that is your primary course. Okay. But at the time of reporting your course admissions and your unit enrollments, it will also grab the records that are under those rest of the courses, that is relevant courses, and report them through this primary course. Okay. So if I show you from the system, let me get back to our course page. I have added these two courses as a sample courses, okay, and for now, and use the same national code, okay. For now, I have decided the first entry is going to be a primary course, so that's why I have marked that course as TCSI reportable yes. Okay. Now, if I go back and show you the next course, which was the second entry, this one, I have kept that course as TCSI reportable no. Okay, so this is our first step. Now, the next step, step 2, go to TCSI course mapping, which is under course and then TCSI course mapping. There, search for your primary course. So for now, my primary course is this, TCSI Test 01, and then system will give me all the records that are using same national code. So first is the course itself, and second is the relevant course entry. I'll select them and just click on this button, assign mapping. Done. And then system will take care of all your reporting with respect to courses and as well as course admissions. Okay, so that was all about mapping multiple courses with same national code. Now, next enhancement is related to course enrollment status outcome. Okay. Now, we report this data in course admission packet. Also, in course admission packet, we are supposed to report this course enrollment status only when student is no longer entitled to that training activity. Meaning, student is not going to continue that course, or he has finished course successfully, or he has withdrawn that course. Now from TCSI, we only have these status codes. So these are the meaning and these are the codes that we are supposed to report. But we have seen that most of the time providers, they are using multiple status codes in our system. So what you can do is you can provide your mapping to us, what is the relevant mapping that you would like to use for that course outcome, and we will do that mapping for you. So next time when you are reporting course admission packet, correct value will get reported. If this mapping is not provided, system will just follow the default mapping. So for example, if course status is completed, it will use 1. If it is graduated, that means completed, it will use 1. And for withdrawn, it will use 2. But it is really recommended that you should provide that mapping to us, so you will have correct data reporting to TCSI. Okay. So this is all about enhancements that are related to course setup. Now let's move forward. Let's see what is the date logic that is being used in the system for this course on campus records. Now, course on campus records, this is the packet that we report after reporting courses and and campus records. So let me show you that on system. So here I go to TCSI. Then after reporting this courses campus, this third packet is course on campus records. Okay, so basically it combines these two data together and report it to taxi. So that means if one course is having campuses, 3 campuses, for example, Sydney, Melbourne, Adelaide. So it makes the combination of that course with those campuses and report it in this third packet. Now this packet, it has two date parameters, effective from date and effective to date. So in May system, we have added logic considering the reporting guidelines to calculate these dates. Okay. Now for effective from date, system checks the course data and campus data and picks the date which is the later date. And for effective to date, it again checks the course data and campus data and picks the date which is the earliest date. So let's see an example for this. But before that, step one for you is just make sure you have provided at least effective from date under your venue setup. So that's how system will be able to calculate correct date. If you don't provide this date, you won't even able to see your campus records in TCSI reporting page, in Mesh TCSI reporting page. Okay. So first step, just make sure you are adding this effective from date. Next step, system will calculate these dates for you. So I've added one example here. This is my course data. This is my venue data. Okay. Now course, I have start date which is in year 2022, effective from date, and my venue has start date from 2019. So based on these two records, for course on campus record, system will pick the date which is the later date. So for now my later date is 2022. So that's why my course on campus record will have this date as a later date. Here also you can see that. Okay. Now for effective due date, it will pick the earliest date from these two records. So my course is having effective due date which is in 2030 and venue is having 2026. So that's why my date will be 2026 because 2026 is the earliest. So that's how system will calculate these dates for course on campus records. Okay, now let's go next. That was related to course setups, enhancements. Okay, now let's see what are the enhancements under student TCSI information, that is student TCSI details. There are two enhancements mainly. First is related to citizenship and second is related to their address details. Okay. Now about citizenship details. So citizenship details, it has one parameter as a citizenship effective from date. Okay. Now this citizenship effective from date is the date from when provider got to know about the citizenship of that particular student. So for example, it can be either date when you receive application from student or it can be either date when student starting that course. For example, course start date. Okay. Normally, for domestic student, it is also okay to provide their birth date as citizenship effective from date. That's why if for domestic students, if you keep this date as a blank, my system will use their birth date as their citizenship effective from date. Okay. But for international student, it is really important that you should provide this effective from date here. And it can be, as I said, any date from when you receive the application or the date when that student is starting that particular course activity. For international student, if you keep this date as a blank and you complete reporting to taxi, at taxi end they by default they default that date to the date of current date. So because of that, you may receive errors when you report unit enrollments. So that's why key pointer to note for international student, always provide this date over here. Okay. So now let's see the second enhancement related to student details, that is address details. Now, recently, TCSI added one validation where they made it mandatory to report overseas country as a residential country for international students. Because of this, it is recommended that in initial stages, you make sure you're capturing at least that overseas country for that student. And even if you can capture the entire address details, that is even better. Okay. From Mesh system, we have added one enhancement. That is, if this data is not present, that means for international student, there are no details for the overseas address, and system doesn't find overseas country code while reporting. It will automatically use is birth country as residential country and report it. And rest of the fields related to address details such as state and postcode, they will get reported as blank for that international student. Because as per TCSI reporting guidelines as well, uh, State and postcode for overseas details are only required for the domestic students. Okay, so that's why the enhancement summary of this feature is if system doesn't find overseas country code for international student while reporting, MEST will automatically consider birth country as the residential country, and rest of the fields like state and postcode it will report them blank. So this is all about student address details. Now let's see rules that you need to make a note while reporting your unit enrollment. So first step, always make sure you complete the result grade setup. In result grade setup, you can find there is a field TCSI, used for TCSI, where we are using these TCSI codes. Let me show that to you on platform. Admin configuration setup, and then there is result grade. Under result grade, here is the last column, used for TCSI report. Okay, so if I click on edit, I'll get to see that field here, used for TCSI. So you need to make sure that whatever your grade outcome, you are assigning relevant taxi code to it. Okay. If this mapping is not present, system will use default mapping. But as you are adding multiple gradings, you are doing grading setup based on your requirement, it is really recommended that you should add that TCSI relevant coding as well. Once this coding is there, at the time of reporting unit enrollment, system will use that code, and at the end you will end up reporting correct data to taxi. Now, next enhancement is related to this loan fee exemption. And most of us, we already know that for fee help, student have received exemption if the census date is between 1st April 2020 till 31st December 2021. Okay. There is also another extension to this exemption where it is been exempted. It may get exempted if the census date is till 2022 December, but that legislation has not passed yet. So that's why it is required that this year, that is 2022, we should report loan fee while reporting unit enrollments to taxi. So that's why you also have noticed that if there is census date of 2022 year, system is calculating loan fee for that subject enrollment. So I have added this point just to get everyone clear on this legislation note. Okay, so this is all about loan exemption. Now next is about reporting withdrawals. Most of the time we have seen that providers are deleting enrollments. So that means if they have reported one enrollment to taxi and after that student comes and withdraws that enrollment before census date, they simply delete that enrollment from the system, from the MESH system. But that's not the correct way of doing it, because as per TCSI reporting guidelines, if you report any subject enrollment, you should not delete it after that. Instead, just make the updates that are relevant to withdrawal and report that withdrawal to taxi through the update sync option. Now, how you can report withdrawal is from MESH system. So there are 3 to 4 changes that you have to do in the subject enrollment. So first is change final outcome. Second, change either activity finish date or subject completion date with the date when student reports you to withdraw that particular subject enrollment. And last, remission reason code. This is optional. If student is receiving any remission, just provide remission reason code with it. Okay. So this is the explanation that I have added for each and every field. That is unit of status code. You have to update that final outcome that is relevant to that withdrawal of the student. Then unit outcome date is basically mapped with subject completion and activity finish date. Now, if you provide date for the subject completion, system will consider that date as unit outcome date. If this date is missing, system will basically consider activity finish date as unit outcome date. So that's why it is required that you should either update any one of these dates. Then last is remission reason code. So remission reason code you have to provide if student has received any remission or recredits for that subject enrollment or for that withdrawal. Okay. Once all this data is updated, just make sure you go to Mesh TCSI reporting page and click on that update sync option to report this withdrawal. So that's how you are supposed to report withdrawals to taxi. Now this is all about the rules for unit enrollment reporting. Now our last topic is about PRODA B2B device reactivation. So this B2B device is being used for the authentication of your organization. So whenever you create this PRODA B2B device from your PRODA account, it always has one expiry date, and you're required to recreate this device again once you reach to that expiry date. Now, as you're using your Mesh platform to do your TCSI reporting, it will be really helpful if you keep the same name for that PRODA device which has been used previously, because then you don't have to reconfigure entire setup again. You can just carry forward with the new device from that step. So for recreating B2B device, there are few steps. So steps are like, first go to your PRODA account, go to your organization, then go to your B2B devices and copy the existing name of that device. Remove that existing device, recreate new one with the same name, and then enter those new credentials of that device in your Mesh platform, and then click activate, and you can activate it from Mesh platform. So let me show you from the system. First, I'll get open the product configuration page, and let me go to our test product account. Okay, so first step, log into your product platform. In here, go to organizations, select the correct organization. So for example, right now I'll go here, Mesh tab, and then this organization, go to B2B device. So this is my existing device. Click on that. I'll copy this existing name and then click on remove device. And go to B2B device again, click on register B2B device, copy same name and click on register. Then you will receive all these three credentials. You have to copy them on your Mesh platform. So let me go to our Mesh platform, click on reset product account and copy all details and paste it in your Mesh platform. Organization ID and device activation code. Save and then activate. Once you activate and refresh the page, you'll get to see the expiry date. And you can also check if it is being actually connected or not by clicking on this get token. If you receive green message, that means it is connected. This is the actual token that you have received. If it's not, if there is an error, you'll receive message in a red box. So this is how you're going to reactivate your product device. So this basically completes our all the enhancement introduction to our TCSI integration in Mesh platform specific to new TCSI changes. So now if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us through our Mesh support team, or you can also drop us an inquiry on this email address, inquiries@meshgroup.com.a. I hope this session was helpful for you today, and thank you all for joining this session. Have a good one. Thank you.